Greetings, Jay Stone here on another beautiful day to be alive on the Cap and Ball Chronicles. You know, I get an awful lot of questions about why I shoot one-handed when I might be able to be more accurate if I shot two-handed like we do in modern times. Well, I think it's worth our effort to take a look at why I shoot one-handed and how, as a graybeard, I'm able to continue to shoot one-handed given that I have lived a physically vigorous life and I have some hardships to overcome in order to stay strong enough to hold my revolvers out there fairly steady. So let's look into it. All right, so why do I shoot one-handed? Why do I insist on shooting one-handed? Why haven't you have never seen me shoot two-handed on this channel other than when I'm sitting at the bench, and you haven't seen that very often. I shoot one-handed largely because that's what they did in the 19th century, and it's that history and the history of these revolvers that brought me into the cap and ball revolver world in the first place, my love of it. So that's mainly the reason number one. And reason number two that I shoot one-handed is because it's one heck of a challenge. I'm absolutely willing to forego pinpoint precision accuracy for gunfighter accuracy. And by that I mean I want to place most of my shots in the range that if I was shooting at a human target in a gunfight, my shots would have done damage. So my criteria for good shooting isn't a 10x on the bullseye. My criteria at whatever distance I'm shooting at is that I want to hit whatever I'm shooting at least 4 to 5 out of 6 times with whatever revolver I'm shooting with, from whatever distance I'm shooting with, whether that's paper or steel. So that means I'm not going to win a whole lot of pistol championships, but that's not what I'm in it for. So those are the main reasons that I shoot one-handed. We all have our reasons, but that's why I do it, and that's why I will continue to do it. Now, I talked about some of the challenges that I have to overcome as a graybeard, as someone who has lived a relatively vigorous physical life and continues to do so. And I know I'm not alone on this. There's an awful lot of graybeards. I say that affectionately because I am one, although mine's trimmed a little short today, so it doesn't look as gray as it does on other videos. But if we have lived our lives, we have done damage to our arms, elbows, shoulders, and fingers. And I have the same problems that I have to overcome, which is why my one-handed shooting stance looks a little somewhere as a cross between the duelist stance and the Bisley stance, and I'll explain that. What have I done to mine? As a young man, I was a baseball player, and not just a high school ball player, but I played Division I college ball and on after that. And as a first baseman, I was a left-handed baseball player. I'm a right-handed shooter. My glove hand is my shooting hand. And as a first baseman, just like a catcher, I did nothing but take throws for all those years in practice, and thousands, tens of thousands of throws. And this hand used to be quite black and blue most of the time. So this is all arthritic. That's as good as I can do to make a fist. All right, so I have to overcome arthritic hands, and the one finger that's the worst is my trigger finger. You'll notice when I shoot one-handed, I don't put my right elbow, my right arm is not straight. There's a little bend in my elbow, which makes it a little harder to hold steady, but there has to be, because also as a baseball player, I was a left-handed hitter. I took one too many 90-mile-an-hour fastballs off the point of that elbow, so I have bone chips in my elbow that I never got fixed, that have turned into scar tissue, that have turned into arthritis, and so I can only get my elbow out that far. If I was to shoot left-handed, I can go straight, but right-handed, that's about as far as it goes. So that's a challenge that I have to overcome as well. And that is figure out how to hold steady, get my aim, have enough strength to do that, and then make sure that this weird arthritic hand actually smoothly squeezes the trigger, because sometimes it just wants to stay stuck out there. Well, those are my challenges that I've had to overcome in shooting one-handed. I know you all have challenges too, and someday it's possible that I'm not going to be able to shoot right-handed one-handed, that I'm going to have to shoot two-handed if I want to insist on shooting right-handed. But what I'm in the process of doing now is teaching myself to shoot left-handed, so that if this hand gets to be too much of a problem, I'm going to become a left-handed shooter, so that I can continue to practice my cap and ball revolver shooting in sort of the historically appropriate way. So when it comes to shooting style and shooting stances and fundamentals, I've had to, as I talked about earlier, I have had to overcome some physical challenges in order to develop a stance that where I can hold my revolver, feel steady, and accomplish the goal that I have, which is gunfighter accuracy. So worry less about what people think of your shooting style and worry more about what's comfortable for you and what allows you to be to be able to physically hold your weapon and then be competent in whatever your shooting goals are. And so let me talk for a minute about how I go about practicing. What I have learned is from my days in athletics is that the best strength training is training the muscles you use, strengthening the muscles that you use in the act of using them the way you're going to. So that if I'm a baseball player, and I want to learn to throw better, don't just strengthen my shoulder and my arm, but actually strengthen the movement of it, right? Get that strong, because that's the movement that you got to develop muscle memory for. So I believe the same thing here. So what do I do when I'm practicing and not shooting videos and not shooting matches? I find the heaviest cap and ball revolver that I can find, and today it's going to be my Dragoon. Okay, because why? It's heavy, but when you put a weight on the end of your arm, there's no barrel. And it's the barrel tip and it's the barrel balance that sticks way out front that we've got to learn to control. It's not just holding up the weight, but it's the weight plus the tendency of the barrel to want to do this or want to do this or want to do this, the shake thing. In the house, if I'm watching television at night, it'll certainly be unloaded, and I will stand up and I will hold it until I shake, until I can barely hold it anymore, and then I will put it down and rest. So I do that, and I might do that 25 times a night until my arm is sore, and then I put it away. When I'm out on the range like I am today, I'm worried I'm going to shoot, because now I start thinking about how do I hold it. And because of my arthritic hands, is that it's hard for me to put a firm grip with thumb pressure onto my grip frame. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to shoot, but I'm going to hold this gun until right the point. I'm going to go through my actual movement that I do. I'm not going to do anything artificial. So you all see me start like this, and I'm going to hold it, and I'm going to hold it, and I'm going to hold it, and I'm going to think about holding it steady with a firm to tight, exaggerated grip, where I'm going to put a lot of thumb pressure on the outside of this on there, and I'm going to try to hold it steady. And then when I pull the trigger, I'm going to try to hold the gun steady, pointed at my target, until I hear it hit the target, hopefully. Firm, steady grip. Hold it as long as I can. Starting to shake. Firm, steady grip. Boom. Okay, there's one. And I felt myself letting my grip off. It's holding the grip firmly. And again, I'm going to exaggerate it when I'm training to be tight. I want it to be tight so that when my natural tendency, because my hand starts to give way a little bit, I want it to give way to something that's firm from tight, not from something that's firm to loose. Because that's one of my biggest problems. And then what that leads to, when I don't have a firm grip, what that leads to in my shooting is no muzzle control and no follow through, because I'm going with the pressure of my hand. Do you follow me? So if my grip gets loose and I shoot and I'm not holding it very tightly, then I'm gonna give with that, and I'm not following through, which means I'm not gonna hit anything. So I'm gonna hit something. It's just gonna be the tree or whatever it is behind the target. And then I'm gonna shoot maybe 40 or 50 rounds like that. Now, when I'm shooting at targets on video or at the club or in a competition, I hold to the count of 3, right? I try to train myself. If I'm really shooting accurately, this is going to be more the way I like to shoot. Come down and find my target, 1, 2, 3. That's more the way that I like to shoot. So I'm training to be able to do that by making myself stronger and more firm in my grip for a longer period of time, so that when I pick up a 36, 1851 Navy or 61 Navy or one of the lighter guns, it's going to feel light. I'm going to have my firm grip, 1, 2, 3, boom, and I'm going to be able to find a little bit more accuracy. So let's recap what I've talked about here today. And again, I'm not trying to, I don't present myself, not now or not ever, as a shooting expert or as a shooting instructor. All I know is what's worked for me, and it's a little bit off. Sometimes I'm a little bit halfway between a Bisley stance, which would be more like this, and the duelist stance. I can't get my elbow out straight, but you'll notice that there's a bend in my elbow. So I'm not the picture perfect shooting form, and that's okay. I don't really care, because like many of you, we have circumstances, either from injury or just from living a vigorous life or from use or arthritis or accidents or whatever the case may be, that stops us from being able to be a poster child for perfect shooting style. And sometimes those injuries and accidents make two-handed shooting a requirement, and there should be nothing wrong with that. I personally want to shoot one-handed like they did in the 19th century as long as I possibly can. And I'm telling you, as I've said, because of my arthritis and because of some of those problems, my right-handed, one-handed shooting, those days will come to an end at some point. So I'm quickly trying to figure out if I can become proficient shooting left-handed. And right now, when I do it, it's really ugly. So number one, use an actual unloaded revolver and actually do the exercise. This is a now unloaded. Do the exercise, go through your routine and exercise the muscles the way you use them, and hold it out there and hold it out there and hold it out there until you can't anymore. Let it rest for a minute and then do it again and see if you can't hold it a little longer. Athletes will tell you, strengthen the muscles during the movement that you're training it for. So my movement is like from here to here, firm grip, smooth trigger pull, hold steady, follow through after the shot. If you don't have a heavy gun, you could take an ankle weight or something and wrap it on your gun, but do it down sort of from here down towards the barrel, because remember, this is the heavy part, but it's the barrel and the balancing that is the difficult part, at least for me. It's holding that barrel steady out there 7, 8 inches away from the back, up from my hand, that is the hard part. So if I'm going to overemphasize weight, I want to emphasize the weight of the barrel, not the weight of the grip frame. And if you do that regularly, and I do that regularly, if I get feeling like I'm a little weak sometimes, I mean, I'm 67 years old, so I don't stay strong like I used to. So whether it's, if I have to take a couple weeks off from shooting, or it's through the wintertime and I'm not shooting as much, then I'll go through this routine because I want to keep my muscle strength up. I have to work at this in order to stay what I'm comfortably saying is proficient to my standards. I hope that helps. I know some of you really want to be able to do this, and I've heard, especially during the playing card shoot challenge, that it's hard for you to hold that gun out there. Well, it's something you can work towards. Find your heaviest cap and ball revolver and start holding it steady on some point of aim, unloaded in a safe direction. And if you do that for a while, it won't take you forever. If you do that for a while with the firm grip, you'll start to see some progress. So thanks for watching. We'll have more coming soon. So we'll see you again on down the road the next time.